hartstikke leuk wat jij doet.
Nou, not very fast, are you?
Not funny.
No, but action. Action photographs. Get action photographs. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? What are you going to do?
This is for your book.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. That's very nice. Yes, that's right. How did you know?
It's Dutch.
Well, I haven't read it in Dutch, no.
Well, his father made the book and he lost money on it, so
That's
he's very
terrific.
glad that you're going
It's
to
super.
move it.
This is super.
You know?
Oh, nice.
So maybe we get some peanut butter for bread, huh?
Ah, Gustavkind. Oh, I've never seen that photograph before.
Kijk nog maar even.
Ask him.
Yes.
They want your signature and you don't dare to ask.
Oh, but of course, yes. Yes, I don't have any paper on it.
Paper? Papier. Paper for your signature.
Oh, een stukje af.
Look, I got a place.
This is great. This is terrific. I've never seen so many good photographs of him. They really are good.
Hier handtekeningen. Ja, even kijken naar oprotten.
Fantastic. Ah, it's terrific. Okay.
Have you a pen?
No, I don't have a pen either.
Here's a pen.
What's your name and how do you spell it?
Don't fall to us.
David?
Oh, yes? Really? Oh, yeah, I remember when I had that on. Yeah. Sure. I like him just
Klimt hij niet? Oké, klimt hij niet? Ja. Klimt het boek? Nee, hij moet zo maar weghalen. Deze doe ik in de camera.
Pieter, doe je lamp uit.
Klimt niet uit. Moet hij wat draaien?
Pieter, nee.
Onderuit of zo?
Pieter.
Ja, toch niks te doen. Oké, doe ik in de camera.
All right, David. Maybe this is the past for you, but I'd like to talk about your experiences in show business. About
Well, there was this girl. Yeah, carry on. What experiences really?
concerts for 10,000 people. Record companies running behind you. Hype. Images.
You're determined to put me in this sort of
No. You've been in
dynamic.
there. And we Metropolitan. You've been in there, right?
Yes, I have been in there, and I tell you, it's sticky stuff. It's like the trenches. It's like going out on some kind of maneuver, actually, the whole process. It's this sort of, in a rock thing on a tour, there's sergeant majors and then there's corporals and everybody says, right, pack, move on, and you set up tents, but they're called Hiltons and, Holiday Inns. I hate the process. I think it's loathsome.
It was originally meant to be informal rock and roll, and then it turns into a big company kind of thing.
Enormous arena, yeah, it can do that.
Same goes for the record industry, is that...
I don't... Well, my dealings with all those people are on a very personal basis now. I mean, I don't have any management.
But that's now...
In the past, I mean, I never knew what was going on. I was oblivious to everything that was happening because those responsibilities, David, have been taken away from you, David, so that you have the freedom to write, David.
Right.
And I wrote, and they made money.
Now there's no management.
Now there's no management.
So who keeps the books?
Me and somebody else.
Right. Interviews. You do a lot of them?
No, this is the first time I've done this kind of interview for an album. And I must be quite honest, the reason I'm doing it is because I want to give the album every chance that it can get. Because it is, I didn't know it was going to go gold in 3 days, or I wouldn't have bothered. I'm being very honest. I mean, that's why I'm here, to do that. I didn't expect it to be received so enthusiastically. I'm flabbergasted.
Now, new cities and new journalists and new questions and people trying to peep a little bit into... Not
new questions most of the time.
Okay. You have a new question for me?
Well, no, I sort of just react by trying to blow the interview. And that often produces some further questions.
But I was just wondering, but you obviously do this only once a year or something. I was just wondering if you didn't get real sick of interviews, camera.
Well, it's the idea of becoming a machine. I mean, if one is asked during the course of a day the same question about 10 times, if it's 10 different people, one's very tempted to make up new answers because I get very bored very quickly. And I feel a bit like a parrot by about the 5th interview.
Right.
And something very sort of sterile and sort of rather mouldy by about the 10th interview.
The people hit you with remarks you've made 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Oh, quite often, yes. Yes. But I used to do a dreadful thing in the past, which I've stopped doing now. I would read something that I never said in the paper and adopt that point of view to see what reaction it would get and see if we get a third reaction from that. So I had a lot of fun sort of delving into other people's ideas of what I am and adopting their idea for a bit.
Sometimes it went a little bit out of hand, you know.
Oh, but of course, but I work on dangerous ground. I mean, that's why
when people start talking about you as being fascist and all
yes, I know. It's some atrocious things happen.
Yeah. Well, that's all nonsense, let's say that.
I'm totally apolitical.
Right.
Absolutely. I have no... It's not my position for the kind of artist that I am, which is a person who tries to capture the rate of change, for me to adopt any given policy or stance politically, because my job is as an observer of what is happening. And any statements that I made in that direction were a general reaction and a theatrical observation of what I could see happening in England.
Right. And it hasn't happened yet, but...
No, it hasn't, thank God.
No, right.
But what do? You ridicule it. Is the first thing you do.
Right.
I was amazed that nobody had noticed that it was happening. And it seems to have come to much more attention since I said that.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, we were talking about power, and you say we were so hung up on the power.
No, that's not power. That's social observation.
Yeah, well...
Don't mind me saying so.
No, that's not power, but...
Media has the power.
Right.
I have maybe the...
but does the media always stick to you?
I have the observation... Oh, yes, well, it's their combination and their entanglement of what is and what isn't and what they would have be that provides the people with some fairly distorted informational viewpoints.
Well, just come back to this for 1 second.
Yeah.
I mean, you can deny it or not, but the thing that 100,000 kids are treating you as a hero, reading every line you say...
I don't think so, you see. I think that's a generalization. A kid doesn't go out and live his life around me. He goes out and he might buy my records when they come out. He may adopt my hairstyle, but it does very much end there, you know. I mean, I've never seen with any rock idol kids that have been so totally intoxicated by the thing that they live out that thing as their myth. I think you're carrying it a bit far. It doesn't really work like that. And don't tell people it works like that, because it's not that way.
No. I want to hear that from you. It's
you just heard it.
It just must be dazzling to see people direct their life towards what you do or something.
I don't think that's at all the case. I think the average rock listener gleans information from records and stage performances of an ethereal nature. One can't put one's finger on what that information is, but that's why people go to rock concerts. And I enjoy the process of giving and receiving information, which is what I find happens.
Now, one of the things you've talked about a lot is that people need a leader, right? And that goes for rock and roll also. People definitely searching for musicians that they can...
And the best leader they can possibly have is the one that looks back at them from the mirror. Right. So they have to understand that mirror very well, and then that person can lead them.
You think you can do that by relativating the whole thing, for instance?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, mate, I'm not a psychiatrist.
That's a good ending. Yeah, no, okay.
You said people are not directing after you. I mean, but
yeah.
Do you think you have any might have a little influence on their thinking, because they listen to your records, went to your shows, and
the influence is only acceptable if it's taken by that person on his own initiative. No, not influence in the way that I believe that you mean. Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you mean insidious influence, a kind of a creeping influence that makes people unconsciously do things
just because
I seem to be saying that? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
No, because there is far too many images for people to be that directly influenced by one given thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to do with the new music, is find a new language which doesn't have that kind of image influence.
Do you think people will understand that language that you are?
It doesn't. Well, I think they do, yes. Because I think people, especially in a city context, think in fragments, opposed to a country person who thinks far more in a linear form. I mean, all this is very old hat, sort of beatnik philosophy, but it's they think far more in linear form, sentences, entire sentence. A farmer will think, I see a cow in the field, it gives me milk. We're milk crazy, it gives me milk. But a city person will see a milk advert in the street and be thinking, milk, what are we going to have for dinner? Boy getting knocked down by a bus, crashed against wall, that kind of. So he's thinking in terms of maybe 1,000 different images at any given time. He doesn't know he's thinking any differently to the way his forefathers thought. And the language that Brian and I are sort of producing is a language that can relate to that way of thinking.
Final question for the film.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange that in a few years' time you will be performing for audiences that are about the age of your own kid, for instance?
Is that what I'm going to be doing? Good Lord.
That's what you're going to be doing. I mean, the kids that gave you the book yesterday who go to your show are about 7, 8 years old.
That was extraordinary as well. I've never seen anybody that young before come to a show, or 7 or 8 is strange.
Will you ever play in Las Vegas?
Oh, Lord. Oh, Las Vegas. No, I can't see that coming. That's not on the immediate horizon by any means.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you. Las Vegas.
Ever since Elvis died, I just ask everyone to... You want to play in Las Vegas? Jigga didn't want to do it.
I've never even been there, actually. It's the one city in America. I've never been there, have I, Barbara? Las Vegas? Never, I haven't been there.
It's worth going there. It's nice.
Don't go there.
Well, it must be an interesting phenomenon to see. Yeah, I would.